What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another legendary, classic, mid-90s acid trancer from one of my all-time favorite producers, Kors, real name Michael Kors with a K, though his releases on Noom Records are under Kors with a C. And yes, this comes from arguably, if not my absolute favorite record in my collection, certainly a contender for that title. And it's indicated, by the way, I have 3 copies of Noom 18. Now, I've only grabbed one for the purposes of this reaction, though I think when I reacted to Matabu Part 2, which is the best track on this record, a contender for my favorite acid trance tune ever, and just a legendary track of the 90s, I think I had all 3 records out, or all 3 copies of the record out. But it's interesting because, as I said, that's Matabu Part 2. Matabu Part 1 is also a very good tune. It's a bit more wicked. Like, Matabu Part 2, it's got a lot of space atmosphere, there's a bit of mystery to it, there's some melody to it, but it's also got drive and acid aplenty. Again, it's just one of the best tunes ever. Matabu Part 1 is great. I wouldn't put it quite on the same level, and again, the character of it is different. It's a bit more wicked. Ice Rain here, the 3rd track, the B2 track on this single, on most other acid trance releases, even in the glory days of acid trance, this is from 1996, and for me, it's like late 95 to 98, maybe more narrowly 96 to like late 97. That like year and a half, 2-year span is, to my mind, the classic and most legendary period of acid trance music. But even during that time, Ice Rain would be the A1 tune on most acid trance records, even among other great artists. And again, for me, it's like Kors, Pablo Gargano, Nuclear Hyde, what's his name? Kai Tracid, but specifically under his Acute Genius and, what's the other name that he used? Formic Acid names, which is when I think he made his best stuff. But again, for me, Kors and Pablo Gargano are even a half step above those other people I mentioned. And again, Kors, this tune of his, Ice Rain, is absolutely brilliant, but it ends up being overshadowed by Matabu Part 2 on this record, and I think for some people maybe also Matabu Part 1. Side note, Acrid Abeyance, another famous acid trance duo, acid trance, acid techno duo, they did a great remix of Matabu Part 1, so maybe when I react to the original Matabu Part 1, I'll do it in conjunction with the Acrid Abeyance remix. Bottom line, the point is, Ice Rain is an awesome acid trancer. It's moody, it's atmospheric, it's got melody, but also drive and acid aplenty. But as I said, it ends up being maybe the 3rd tune on this record, but that's only because this record features Matabu Part 2 and Matabu Part 1. So let's give it a listen. This is a atmospheric and driving acid trancer by the one and only Michael Kors under his Kors with a C name on Noom 18, and the track is called Ice Rain. electric metallic bass line, the fluttering, flourishing acid, fluctuating. The rhythmic eccentricities and production creativity overall. Little rhythmic acid snarl. it's just crazy. Like, eventually, early 2000s, Coors started making some tunes that went in a slightly different direction. They were a bit more like minimal, almost like turning a bit to like tech trance, and those weren't my favorite. But during this period, which is to say like, again, 95 to like 98 or 99, dude could do no wrong and was just in a creative vein of form that is only equaled by someone like Pablo Gargano, who again, during that same period, like 95 to 98 or 99, is just untouchable and was making banger after banger, acid, melody, drive all in one. And so again, I hold those two in their own special category. And this tune, again, it's like the third most prominent tune on this vinyl, and yet it would be the marquee track on most acid trance records from the mid-90s during the golden phase. And again, just it's all here. The drive, the melody, the atmosphere, the acid in layers, the, again, eccentricity of production. I've talked about this with Coors and Pablo, where like they do things that are non-standard but still perfectly rhythmic and actually even more brilliant because they're a bit unpredictable. Like, you know, oftentimes a new element will come in after a 32 or a 64. In the case of Pablo and Coors, like after an 8-beat, it'll introduce a new rhythmic, like percussive element, be it a hi-hat or like, for example, here, those almost like smashing, like metallic kind of hi-hats in addition to the regular hi-hat. And again, they'll come in after, like I said, an 8 or a 24 or something where it's like not what you would normally expect, but still perfectly rhythmic in the larger structure, and the pulling out and putting back in of different elements as the tune goes along. There's an eccentricity to it, there's a unusual creativity to it, but it makes the track even more compelling than if it was just, you know, kind of a standard production. And there's nothing wrong with a predictable standard production if all the pieces are compelling and it comes together well and so on. But yes, in this tune you can hear it, in other Coors tunes, and as I said, Pablo Gargano does this as well. There's a bit of an eccentricity to the rhythm and production, and it works brilliantly and perfectly. And again, I love that fluctuating acid line. It's kind of warbling and it becomes more intense and then it dies down a little. And then there's that like rhythmic acid snarl, which at the very end goes into double time and kind of takes the track out as it peters out. And this is another tune, like with Matabu Part 2, and the majority, I would say, of Coors and Pablo's catalog, where like you could use it at the beginning of a track or a beginning of a mix because it has a very atmospheric intro. You could use it at the end of a mix because it has a very memorable and atmospheric outro, but you could also use it in the middle of the track. So it ends up being a tune that as a DJ is very versatile. You can use it at any point in your set, not just in the middle, as in the case of some tracks that have a very stripped down minimal intro and outro with just a kick drum and a hat, not just as an intro where like, you know, there's a really great intro but then the end of the track is very sudden and like it drops off very quickly, not just as, you know, an outro tune. It's the kind of tune you could use anywhere in a set. And as I said, I love the melody of the tune, especially that kind of mysterious pad-like melody. I do enjoy that like metallic, electric bass line which comes in. Like both times, as you saw, it kind of elicited a response from me because even though I know it's there, I've heard this tune many, many times, used it in many mixes. When it comes in, it sort of takes you by surprise and it gives some real grit and electric, metallic energy to the tune. So yeah, I love all the ingredients here. It comes together well, it's brilliant, and yet it's the B2 track on the vinyl. Crazy. So, another masterpiece from the legendary Michael Kors. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.